everybody, and welcome to Wine Library TV. I am your host, Gary Vaynerchuk, and this, my friends, is the Thunder Show. And today's big thank you is for Mike Tenenbaum for doing all he needed to do to bring number 4, Brett Favre, to your New York Jets. And I'm very excited about our new quarterback, and because of that, we are doing a show in honor of him. We've got the new Jet Spit Bucket, little new thing here, Ma. What do you think? Beautiful. It's gorgeous, isn't it? And the wines we have here today are the quarterback, 2006 McLaren Vale, very, obvious why. Green Lion Cabernet, and green and red, because everybody else will be seeing red as we beat your faces into a bloody pulp this season, Zinfandel. So, extremely excited. A lot of food here, too, just for kicks and giggles. Props action, folks. But maybe I'll jump into it and pair up some stuff while we go along. But I'm very excited about this show, obviously, because it's a nice way to welcome Brett into the... Yes, this is not a Glenn Foley jersey. A very good opportunity to welcome Brett to the Vayner Nation. I know you're watching, Brett. We've also got a special Jets glass. We've gone all out today. And even brought the Generation 2 wristband to the hizzy, which we haven't done in a whole long time. So let's get right into the show. Let's start with the quarterback, because that is who he is. 2006 McLaren Vale, 27% Shiraz, 23% Cabernet Sauvignon, 25% Merlot, and 25% Grenache. So almost like 4 different grape varieties, maybe for 4 quarters, Mott. Almost equally broken down, little heavier on the Shiraz, little lighter on the Cab, and 25% Grenache and Merlot. So fun little project is this wine. 90 to 92 points, Jay Miller, 16 U.S. bones, which happens to be the number of a former Jets quarterback. We won't go into that because the Vayner Nation has banned me from doing that. Anyway, but 16 bones, which is a very fair price for a 90 to 92 point Jay Miller scored wine. I'm excited about trying this. I like the whole blend action that's going on here. Let's give it a sniffy sniff. Now, right off the bat, what I'm really impressed with is a little bit of the greenness that's coming through in the nose. I like the asparagus top. I like the basil. I like the big, bold fruit. I get a little bit of plum action with like asparagus tops surrounding it. So very interesting nose. Good bright fruit. Winemaker is Tony Delisio, who makes some of the really interesting Shirazes out of McLaren Vale in the world. From McLaren Vale. Good bright nose, good richness coming through, little greenness, like I said, which is very interesting. I always appreciate a little greenness, especially when you talk about Australia. They get a little too fruit bomby. Let's give it a whirl. That's a fun bucket. Come on, Mom. Can I? Oh, baby! Oh, baby! I can put the bucket on my face. I love this. This is a nice. This is gonna have a lot of potential this year. Anyway, very deep, dark flavors, high tannin level, which I'm actually pretty impressed with. It's a little hot in the finish. I see why. 16% alcohol, which is a little too much in my opinion. Good fruit, though. It kind of contains it. I have a little bread here, just because I love bread. The Grenache, I think, is the dominant grape in this blend. I get a lot of that strawberry component and a little bit of that black pepper that I'm so used to finding in Grenache, especially from the Rhone Valley and Australia. I think the Cabernet gives it a nice backbone. The Merlot, a little bit of freshness and fruit. The Shiraz is probably similarities to the Grenache in that factor. It brings up the boldness. I think the alcohol got a little away from this wine, so that's my biggest concern with the wine globally. I think it's a very well-made wine, except that I think the alcohol got away. Probably wanted to be more of a 15.5, 15.0 wine for them. But I kind of like the, the structure. I like the fruit. It's kind of delicious in a way. I just think the heat and the lack of the mid-palate, I think it gets a little hollow. I think the halftime show was a little boring. Instead of getting the kids playing Pee Wee football, which always gets me pumped, Mont. I don't know if you watch that. I love the kids when they play on the field. They brought out an average band from an average high school. Do you know what I mean? That's what's going on in this wine. A little hollow on the mid-palate. The plum flavors continue out in the beginning, kind of flesh out, and it gets very strawberry and pepper, like I said. On the back end, that's what's lasting with you. That's the everlasting thought of this wine. All in all, a solid effort. I'm going to go 89 points on this, which is fine. I think it's a good effort. I think if the alcohol calms down over the next 3 to 5 years cellaring, it could be even a more interesting and complete wine. At this point, it's an 89-pointer for me. 16 bones. I don't know if you really want to rush out and get it, but if you can handle the high alcohol, or if you want the high alcohol for some reason, first date, then you may want to go out and try this wine. Solid effort. Let's move on. Not bad. You know, kind of interesting. Green Lion. 2005 Napa Valley Cabernet, one of the more interesting wine labels I've ever seen in my life. Very trippy, very, very, very trippy. I mean, you feel like the person who drew this was maybe drinking, or, you know, so, zoom in on this. The one is Spirit. I mean, there's all sorts of stuff going on here. Very interesting. Done by Chris Ringland and Dan Phillips. I mean, did you zoom in, Mott?
Yeah, I went in tight.
You went in tight, right? Real neat. It's a neat package. 16 bones as well. Napa Valley Cab. Let's see what's going on here. Little rinse. And let's give it a pour. Let's see what's going on here. Little sniffy sniff. Great nose. Wow. Really good nose to start. Big, bright blackberries coming through. And if you love blackberries as much as I do, then you're going to love this wine. It's a very big component to the nose. I also get very interesting cabbage and cauliflower components on the nose. Maybe even some English green peas. I like that quite a bit. Good fruit, 14.4 alcohol, so it's, you know, not too hot on the nose. Don't smell any heat on the nose. We'll see on the palate. Good polished Cabernet nose. One of the better Cabernet noses in the $15 to $20 range I've had in a while. Reminds me of some of the earlier 01 Franciscan Cab, which I liked. I get a little vanilla. I get a little cedar. I get a little of that cauliflower green beans thing. I get the blackberries. This is a very nice nose. I like it quite a bit. I like it quite a bit. Let's give it a whirl. Interesting. I get some chalk dust on here. A little concrete dust going on in the mid-palate, which I like quite a bit. Again, blackberry. I get a little bit of a blackberry fruit roll-up type. You know, like, kind of like not the fruit roll-ups, but like the high gourmet flavors that were like $13 fruit roll-ups that you saw in some of the gourmet stores in the fruit roll-ups golden era. I don't know if you guys saw it. Do you remember that? They were like, you know, fruit strips or whatever they called them, and they would have like the different flavors like mango and apricot and blackberry. That's what this kind of tastes like. It seems a little more real, right? I get cassis all up in my grill piece, which is a very good sign for this wine. I like that. It's a little average and kind of quiet, which is surprising for a Grateful Palate Dan Phillips Chris Ringland wine. You expect that fruit over the top, which I kind of like. It's a little more toned down, so I think it's kind of nice that way. Let me give it one more whirl. I left out the cherry juice, which I like quite a bit in this wine. That's a pretty solid bottle of Cabernet. I'm going to go 88 points. I like it. The reason I scored the quarterback a little higher is I thought it was more interesting, especially with the Grenache. But all in all, this is a solid bottle of Cabernet. 16 bones, again. You know, cabs are tricky. Unlike the quarterback, where I think the heat will turn off a lot of people, I just think this will appease to a lot of people. No, it's an 88 for my palate. I actually probably would recommend this to a lot more people. I think it's very serviceable, and I think if you're drinking Franciscan and Raymond and Simi and some of those kind of brands, I think that this is a wine that can really appease your palate, and I think it's a very solid effort, and it's okay. Again, neither of these to me is a rush out and go try, but neither are avoid like the Black Plague. If you see no other options, or if you see them, especially on the package on this one, just worth picking up on itself, they might be wines that are worth trying out. let's move on. So far, not killing it for Mr. Favre, which is disappointing. Green and Red 2006 Zinfandel, Chills Can and Vineyards, 06, 14.8 alcohol, $18 US. And let's see what's going on here. A little rinse. That's what we do. Let's give it a whirl. A little sniffy sniff. Beautiful nose. Love Zinfandels. Very interesting. I almost get like a little bit of like a cotton shirt coming through the nose. Something weird coming through. A little fluffy. Almost like cotton candy. Maybe that's where I went with cotton shirt. Interesting nose. I get some spices, some roasted peppers kind of coming through. Roasted onions, believe it or not, a little bit on the nose. Very interesting. I get some little blueberries, little crushed blueberries, which is fine. Kind of like, you know, little small blueberries, but still got a little sourness. Interesting nose. Not great. Not peppery, not lively as many Zins as I've come across, but not bad. Standard Zinfandel, you know, it's got bright fruit. I get a little mulberry on the mid palate, which I like. I get some concentrated black licorice on the back end, which I like. I get a little bit of a currant on the mid palate, which is fine. Good fruit, round, lush, but boring. You know, it doesn't have anything that stands out. Reminds me of a lot of $12 to $15 Zinfandels out there. Just kind of feels like it's going through its motions. Definitely not a wine that's changed my life by any stretch of the imagination. A good little effort, but nothing to write home about, and definitely nothing to get too crazy about. Another 86-point type wine at 18 bones. I think that's a pass. I'll be honest with you, as pumped as I am about Brett, if he performs like these wine performs, there'll be a lot of crying on the Thunder Show on Monday. I just take a very average effort from these three wines. 89, 88, 86. You know, nice scores, nice wines. Again, throw out the scores. Who really cares? Super judgmental. I think you can tell by my reactions, none of them really took me and brought me home. Nothing cradled me and made me feel nice. None of them. And so, ultimately, kind of disappointed. I liked the price points. I was excited about the wines. Of course, we picked them because it was green, and quarterback. But hoping for a little bit more. Didn't get as much as I'd liked. A little bit disappointing. Speaking of which, why don't we roll into a question of the day like that? What is the last wine that really disappointed you? That's about it. Got some food here. Sorry I didn't get into it. This is the Pieve from the show the other day. This is just a plate that I was just eating from the gourmet department. Hooks it up. But this is actually some foie gras. There's some really good stuff here. But that's that. What else, Spot? I want to wish everybody nothing but tremendousness. Really excited about this thank you part of the Thunder Show. I hope you like that new little segment. And that's about it. You, with a little bit of me, we're changing the wine world, whether they like it or not.